Howdy, Matthew Pisgatti here. A few of you asked about this spreadsheet, so I will try to convert it to a Google Doc. I'll check the formulas because I know the Formulate can be a little wonky on the Google Doc, Google Sheets side, and I will share that link in the description of this video. Now, normally how those work is you'll have to make a copy of it, obviously, otherwise anyone touching the sheet would break it for others that are looking at with the same link. So you'll have to probably go to File, whatever the command is, and copy it to your own, and then you can play around with it. These three boxes are the variables, so you can change the LP estimate, and I'm getting it from this calculator. Put in whatever number you want from whatever estimation you have to get future projections. This is how much how much LP is being produced by one plant. So I put seeds here, but that's how many seeds it takes to make one plant. So right now it's 0.131. And then this is a percent of decay that I just added. This lets you play around with different average decays per day. You can kind of see what is sustainable and what's not. Now this was kind of an extreme example over the last 5 days, because I realized with the standard decay that I would expect, which, well, not that I would expect, but the only number that's actually stated in the white paper or that I've heard from Forex on regarding the drip garden is that 1% a day. That's the time decay, or the time multiplier. As the project goes on day by day, we get a reduction in how much we're getting per seed. It's really measured in seeds, but we're measuring it in whole plants because that's easier. So that's the only one we are kind of aware of, is that 1%. But it does change based on the contract balance, but that's a little harder to estimate because we don't know how high the contract balance is going to go. That contract balance portion of the multiplier, Forex did say that it doesn't go back down. So if that's being incorporated into this point LP, the LP per plant, then we can't really throw that variable in there. But one thing we can do, if you've been logging, which is really a good idea, I would take notes of things along the way. If you're nerdy and into it, if you want to analyze it and get future projections. If you're a set it and forget it type of person, that's awesome too. Just, keep on compounding and see where you end up. That's probably a lot of people's approaches to this. But as an example, this was the 18th. So that was about 9-10 days ago from where we are today. We'll call it 10. Now, at that time, I was at 0.147. So that was the amount per plant that we were getting rewarded that day. Now it was at $38-something amount at that time. If we want to be accurate, we'd stick that there. And then we can play around with the decay. We would say, today I know I'm at 131, but that's 12 days, so that's a little farther. So maybe a 1.5%, somewhere around there, maybe a little less. And so you can use this to just at a glance see, we're about 1.2% a day on average. Now, the way the garden works is that we're expecting around a 3.3% or a 3% growth every day, or return on our plant values in seeds is what we're expecting every day. And with compounding, that outruns this type of decay. So this is also another good reason to look at longer time frames to get an estimate. If you look in the last 5 days, last 5 or 6 days, the percent of decay was much higher. I think it was like 3.5 or something. It looked like it was higher to me, judging just from my video about 5 days ago. So, we look at this longer time frame. We see how much the contract balance has increased, which it has been blasting up there. And then we can kind of get a feel for where we should be at. But that contract balance could keep exploding, and that could multiply this, make this higher. The decay could be on average higher. But I think when we average it out over the longer time period, these are supposed to be protocols with longevity in mind. That seems to be what the developer's been creating. If I on average stick at this rate of decay, I'm still at $300 a day, where I'm only at 32. I'm still at over $300 a day, 100 days in. So that tells me I just need to keep compounding and get to that point. And it could be more, it could be less. Now the other change I've made to this calculator is I've rounded the plants per day downward. I realized that I had it overestimating a little bit. You can't plant half a plant. So on a lot of these days, this may be 7.8, and the next day may actually end up being more. You may actually get there quicker than what this is showing because there's actually a little bit more. So I've planted 7 by the end of the day. I planted them, but then I may have zero point 0.8 worth of a plant ready, by the next day. And so it's actually quicker than this, but this is the most conservative way to show the estimation along the way, I think. But yeah, so play around with the decay amounts, and that might give you a little more confidence as to where the garden is going. But again, as I keep saying, it's your funds. Can't tell you what to do with it. Not a financial advisor. That is not my profession. But if you're already invested into this project, you're not getting that initial investment back. So really you will once you compound and have the appropriate daily built up once we reach that point, if we can reach that point. So the only thing you're really asking yourself is, do I want to continue to pay the gas fees to compound every day? To me, that's the only question. And for me, I still have some B&B in my account. This is the project I'm mainly in. I haven't delved into the animal farm and the others as deeply. So I'm going to keep compounding, and I'll say it every video. I want to see where it goes. This is my journey in this space. I don't have a lot of experience in crypto, but I'm liking where this project's going. I know it's high risk. I know it's high risk, high reward if that decay stays reasonable and if we keep compounding. Then I think we can get there. And you'll see these higher amounts, like obviously this is pretty far down the road, and we don't know where the project's going to be. But you see these higher amounts, how it becomes more sustainable even with that decay on the LP, because I'm jumping from, I've made 900 a day. Now I've made 918. Now I've made 938. There's much bigger jumps with the compounding of the plants, even with that decay. This is calculating per row, with that new per seed value based on that percentage per day decline that we plugged in at the top of the sheet. So there's much bigger jumps as the timeline goes on, and you could be putting those dailies when you harvest them. You can put them, you can do whatever you wanted with them, but let's say you were throwing them over into drip faucet. You were putting them in the faucet, and now you're getting 1% back on those funds every day, and that means that in 100 days, actually shorter with compounding, that drip faucet is giving you that return on interest back, and now that those funds are making profit again. Or if you had faith in this drip garden at that point, you could just keep compounding and leave them in there, of course, and make that 3% a day. But it is that higher risk, high reward. But it is worth noting when we're talking about the decay that I don't know if that was factored in when Forex, the developer, and these other people say 3%, 3.3% a day. I don't know if they're factoring in the decay and how that works. I mean, I know we can't account for the contract balance, so maybe that a 3% a day was based on 4%, and they're saying there's at least 1% decay, so you get 3% back a day or something like that. If it's not accounting for it, worst case scenario, this is actually like if at this rate of decay, it's actually more like a 1.8. It's a 2% return, something like that, which is still impressive for a daily amount that we could also harvest a couple days a week, which I'm not there yet. I can't harvest. I don't want to throw this process off while I'm compounding and trying to get to those higher numbers. But you do what's best for you and your strategy, and just approach it how you see fit. But anyway, this is a nice little calculator that might help you along. It's a rough estimate, obviously, and I make that clear because I'm obviously a little bit off from this calculator here on the left. Let's see, because this says 3302, and I'm saying 32.23, and it's probably just because, yeah, I'm 1 cent off there as well. I'm guessing it's because I've backed into a per seed amount, and they may not be doing that here. I've tried to get down to a per seed amount so that I know exactly how much I'm making based on the number of seeds I'm generating. And I could move this down to no decimals as well since we're rounding. So just a rough estimate. This is what I've come up with. Play around with it, see if it helps you. And I will throw this up on Google Docs now and throw the link in the description. So you guys have a great day. Thanks for watching. Just a little bit of insight.